HP Tipping Point Next Gen Firewall Tech Talk sessions. My name is Angelo Brancato and let's get started. To better understand our Next Gen Firewall unique selling points, let's take a quick look at this timeline. Tipping Point was founded back in 2001 with a very distinct goal: to bring the first commercial and enterprise class intrusion prevention system to the market. I'm emphasizing the prevention part because at this point in time only intrusion detection systems were around. So Tipping Point's IPS was designed and built to be a proactive solution and not only notify, but also block malicious or rogue traffic in real time. Many third-party reports on Tipping Point's effectiveness and ease of use are available. In fact, Tipping Point is listed as a leader in Gartner's network-based IPS Magic Quadrant since its existence. And with HP acquiring 3Com and Tipping Point and its very impressive expression on how serious HP is about its IT security portfolio, the formation of the Enterprise Security Products Group, combining other leading solutions like ArcSight, Fortify and Atala, working together in perfect synergy. Now, why should customers implement Tipping Point's next-gen firewall? Let's take a quick look at the firewall history. Traditional stateful firewalls branched into the evolutionary path of Unified Threat Management, UTM, that combines multiple security features like firewalling, AV, IDS-IPS, content security, etc., integrated into one box. Primarily because of performance and scalability restrictions, UTM never really managed the leap to large enterprise installations though, and so Gartner and some vendors then defined the concept of next-gen firewalls, which are basically enterprise-ready UTMs, with the mentioned integrated security features and the focus on application and user identity control to enforce the firewall policy independently of the network layer. And what's really important is that every next-gen firewall must have IPS capabilities to detect and block malicious code in real time. The problem that most competitive next-gen firewalls have is that IPS was implemented as a necessary evil to be compliant with the next-gen firewall requirements. Customers would face a serious compromise when implementing an integrated solution, a next-gen firewall, that is weaker than multiple best-in-class solutions like a dedicated firewall and a dedicated network-based IPS. Now, we are relatively late in the next-gen firewall game, but with HP Tipping Point's next-gen firewall, there is no compromise because we've implemented 13 years of IPS experience into this new product that uses the very same inspection engine as the very mature and effective next-gen IPS appliances. This is very unique in the industry. The HP Tipping Point next-gen firewall has all good genes in it that made Tipping Point such a successful brand. It is simple to operate. While nowadays every organization needs application layer intelligence in the network, not every organization can afford it from an operations perspective. Security admins and security analysts have a lot on their plate and cannot manage yet another security solution that would demand several man days each week. HP Tipping Point's next-gen IPSs and next-gen firewalls are centrally managed by the same very intuitive Security Management System, SMS, with minimal operational overhead. Every Tipping Point customer will attest you that. It is very effective in preventing attacks. Protection against zero-day attacks is the single greatest benefit customers can get out of those systems, and we are the absolute industry leader in that area. And it is very reliable. Our track record of 5 nines is unmatched in the next-gen IPS or next-gen firewall industry. Availability must have a very high priority for a solution that is inline, in the cable, protecting business-critical assets. In this matrix, you can see the current HP Tipping Point next-gen firewall models that range from 250 megabits per second Firewall Plus IPS inspection to 5 gigabit per second Firewall Plus IPS inspection throughput and the port density. If you were to use the HP Tipping Point next-gen firewall in a firewall-only implementation, the throughput can be doubled. The Tipping Point next-gen firewall can be installed in different operation modes which can be mixed in the same appliance. Transparent deployments support segment and bridge groups and the routed mode supports routed interfaces and so-called one-armed interfaces. For example, a port pair can be configured as a transparent segment, just like a transparent IPS appliance, like a bump in the wire. Two or multiple ports can participate in a bridge group, where the next-gen firewall can act like a transparent layer 2 firewall. And in a routed mode, IPv4 or IPv6 interfaces can be mapped to different zones, doing routing, NAT, etc. in between the zones. The one-arm option allows inter-VLAN firewall rules for traffic that goes in and out the firewall through the same VLAN trunk cable. And what's very important is that all deployment modes allow the use of next-gen firewall features like app control, user control, inspection profiles, etc. Now let's dive into the next-gen firewall engine and look at the flow-based, policy-driven architecture. Packets flowing through the next-gen firewall's packet processing and inspection system are passing those defined stages. Stage 1. Traffic classification or metadata extraction. Every packet belonging to a specific flow or session is classified for the ingress and egress zone, the network layer information like IP address, protocol, port, VLAN ID, etc., the application, and the user identity. Stage 2. Firewall rules. Every packet must match a firewall rule. If no user-defined rule matches, the default block rule will match. The firewall rules are processed from the top down, but not the first match wins, like with traditional stateful firewalls, but the most specific match. We will see what that means later on. Stage 3. Inspection profiles, or IPS. Depending on the matching firewall rule, all related packets get inspected with the corresponding IPS profile. And finally, stage 4, the action set. Predefined and custom action sets can be applied for the packets, which means either blocking, permitting, trusting, rate limiting, quarantining, or whatever custom defined action set is defined. Let's look at a simple use case to build up a tipping point next-gen firewall policy. In this scenario, we have 3 security zones that could be mapped to 3 physical ports on one next-gen firewall appliance. We will build a whitelist. The following and only the following should be allowed and inspected by the IPS engine, and all other communications must be blocked. Traffic originating from the LAN zone to the DMZ zone should be permitted and inspected. Internet users from the Internet zone should be able to access video streams that are coded with the MPEG-4 codec and served by the web servers via HTTP. The web servers again should be able to send information to Google Analytics via HTTP. In the LAN zone, the admin user Bob should be able to use the tool GoToMyPC that also uses the HTTP ports to remote support clients located in the Internet. Now, how does a tipping point next-gen firewall rule look like? Logically, it can be divided in 3 parts: the stateful firewall functions, the next-gen firewall functions, and the action sets. The stateful firewall part consists of source and destination parameters, which are again divided in source and destination zone and IP parameters, and the services like network ports and protocols. The next-gen firewall part consists of the application control, the user control element, and the IPS inspection profiles. And the action sets can be one of the actions shown in the previous slide. An empty next-gen firewall profile has always one predefined rule at the very bottom, the default block rule, that will match if no other user-defined rules matches. To implement use case 1, our first rule will allow all traffic from the zone LAN to the zone DMZ, and this traffic will be inspected due to the inspection profile core. Web servers in the zone DMZ must be able to reply to HTTP MPEG-4 streaming requests from the zone internet. That traffic will be inspected by the inspection profile parameter. And the other way around, the web servers must be able to initiate HTTP sessions to Google Analytics. That traffic will also be inspected by the inspection profile parameter. And last but not least, Bob must be able to use the application GoToMyPC from the zone LAN to support clients in the zone internet. That traffic will also be inspected by the inspection profile parameter. And as you can see, we don't use complex nested rule sets, but all security components like firewalling and IPS can be applied in one single rule element. Now let's look at another use case. The marketing user Alice can be on different zones like the wireless LAN with her BYOD, the LAN, or even the remote office. She must be able to access the internet via the corporate web proxy. But Yahoo Games via the same internet connection is strictly forbidden and should be blocked. Our first rule will permit Alice to access the internet from her designated zones. The next rule will block the application Yahoo Games for the same user. That Yahoo Games rule is more specific than the internet rule that matches the application HTTP and HTTPS and must be placed on top of it. Now why is that? Let's go back to the packet processing and inspection system for that specific use case. When Alice starts up her internet browser and browses the web, the HTTP/HTTPS internet rule will trigger an absolute match because the next-gen firewall will detect the application HTTP or HTTPS. Related to the internet rule, it will look for the source and destination zones, the application, and the user. The Tipping Point Next-Gen Firewall's application intelligence system will match the application HTTP and HTTPS, and so, related to the matching internet rule, also apply the IPS profile and permit the flow, respectively the internet session. But that does not mean that those sessions will be added to some AIS permitted flow table and AIS ignores that session from now on. Quite the contrary. The AIS will keep on watching for every packet in that sessions as long as they are active because the Yahoo Games rule caused a potential match, meaning in some point in time an internet session can turn into a Yahoo Games session. As soon as this is the case, the next-gen firewall will immediately block the session because the potential Yahoo Games match turns into an absolute Yahoo Games match. And that is why not the first match wins, but the most specific match over the life cycle of the sessions. In other words, HP Tipping Point's next-gen firewall not only inspects every packet from a permitted flow with the IPS engine searching for attack vectors, just like the dedicated IPS appliances do, but we also inspect all application payload to guarantee that the application gets not hijacked. Secure your business with HP Enterprise Security products. Thanks for listening. Ciao.